Hey. This is Dr. Kit again. It is Monday, and regardless of the date, it is Monday at 6 p.m. Now, listen, I'm hoping by now y'all have turned your clock backward. You got to fall back. I hope you're not thinking it's like 4 o'clock or something like that in the afternoon. No. It is 6 p.m. Monday, every Monday, with the shake up of Dr. Kit, Yeah, the shake up Dr. Listen, I want to just introduce you to that plaque I have on the back of the wall there. It says, listen, the fear of failure is the enemy of success. Let me just tell you something. When you are afraid of attacking something that attacks you or something that could attack you, you're going to be a lose. You lose every time because you're only as strong as your last confrontation. And every confrontation, win, lose, or draw, it should help you to win, okay? The fear of failure and your success. Anyway, you're on with Dr. Kid on the Shake Up, coming from Huntsville, Alabama, 6 p.m. Monday evening. Welcome to everyone that is on at this time. And this is a pleasure to be with you again. All right. So as we go through this, I want you to just relax and just feel free to throw some questions or comments in the chat as we go down through this week. And I want you to, do what you like to do. You like, follow, share, and subscribe. Like, follow, share, subscribe. This is what you do. This is how we begin to grow this platform so that others can join it. We were up in Wisconsin, my wife and I, yesterday, and for the weekend, we did a marriage retreat up there. And we had a great time for the whole weekend. We had about 35, 40 couples up there. It was a great time. And some of them were talking about like they follow. So it was, hey, share, follow, like and subscribe. So I was doing that with them up there too. So, I'm hoping that a few more of them will join. And I want you to do the same thing with your cohort network. Okay. And also, if you would like to be, a part of this program, we would like for you to join this show. We just want you, to just make sure that, listen, we're not here to talk about dirt and stuff like that. We're talking about real life experience with you and or others about that you just want to be able to be a part of, because your story will not be told if you don't tell it. And you're the only one that can tell your story the way you tell your story, because every story is not a story. It is the sharing of your experience. And your experience is neither right nor wrong. It is your experience. So if you'd like to be considered to be a part of this program, just get in touch with my team at drkitspeaks@gmail.com, and my team will get you on, hook you up, as the young folks like to say, and next thing you know, you will be on right here with me. Listen, you can be on camera or you can be off camera. It really doesn't matter, but we'd rather have you on camera because, then we can put a face to the voice, so that people can say, oh yeah, I can make sense out of this now. Okay. So enough of that said. Remember, the fear of failure behind me is the enemy of success. If you want to succeed in life, you cannot be afraid to fail. The only person that fails is the person that never tries. Okay. All right. So with me now, about ready to get my guest on with me. He is backstage in the green room and he is getting ready to come on. So why don't you just welcome my guest this evening? There he is, Gary. Hey, listen, Gary, welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on. Listen, man, just because I understand that you have a wonderful story to tell, and people just will be amazed by your story and the fact that you are such an overcomer, a fighter, a warrior of such, and there are those of us who may feel that we can't battle the battle the way you battled your battle, but nevertheless, we're all in a battle. So come on, Gary, bring it on to us, sir. Introduce yourself however you want to introduce yourself, and then we will start the show rolling where people can begin to talk with you. Throw some stuff in the chat. We'll interrupt every now and then if we see a good question. Well, all questions are good, but we see one that we think we need to discuss. Okay, Gary, go right ahead. Introduce yourself to us, sir.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Dr. Kit, for having me on your show. My name is Gary Davis. I am a 3-year male breast cancer survivor. So it's going on 3 years now that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I've been married for about 35 years to a very lovely person, and I have 2 adult children.
All right. Yeah.
So that is me.
That's you. All right.
Mhm.
So I'm coming on 3 years, survivor of breast cancer. And
Mhm.
listen, we would like for you to, just go ahead and tell us your story, walking us up to, hey, this is what I was feeling. This is what I did. This was the result, those kind of things. Okay. Go right ahead.
Okay. And Dr. Kid, my wife actually discovered the unfortunate disease um, about 3 years ago. This was around Christmas time, to be
Mm-hmm.
exact, December 23rd, 2020, I believe. I had closed my office that particular week. Oh, I don't. I was a business owner before I retired
Okay.
last year,
All
but I
right.
owned a business out in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And so on December 23rd, 2020, I had closed the office that week, for myself and the staff to just to enjoy the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that particular day, my intentions were to just get up that morning, get my snacks together, get my movies together, and just enjoy the day, enjoy the week. My wife works from home. She's been working from home for the last several years. So I said, okay, take her to lunch that day as well. But anyway, that morning when I was getting ready to enjoy my day, I had my shirt off. And so my wife, for some reason, felt compelled to want to massage my neck and chest area. And I'm saying, okay, wow, this is really going to be a good day today. She's giving me a massage early in the morning. And
Yeah.
so as she was massaging my neck and chest area, I noticed that the expression of her face changed from a smile to more of a concern or a puzzled look. And so I asked, I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, how long have you had this knot in your in your breast area, which was on the right side? I said, what are you talking about? I'm not aware of a knot or a lump in my breast area. So as
Mm-hmm.
I began to massage that area, I felt a knot there, and I'm saying, "Huh, I've never felt this before. This is new." And so, um, my wife said, "What we need to do, we probably need to get this checked out." And I objected to that. I'm saying, "Look, this is my day off. I'm off. I'm just going to enjoy my holiday. I don't want to tie up my time going to no doctor because, number one, I'm not in any pain. I don't have any discomfort. And so, let's just leave it alone. We can just get it checked out later." My wife works in healthcare, and so she insisted that I go to the doctor. And so my wife was able to get me a next day doctor's appointment with my primary care doctor. And so we're talking about December 24th when I'm going to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So I, gave into it. And so we got up the next morning, we went to my doctor. Now I have this female doctor that I've been going to probably for the last 20 years, female doctor. And so when she saw me on December 24th, she said, "Hey, Gary, what brings you in my office on the holiday?" And, I told her, that we had felt, a knot around my breast area. Just want to get it checked out. I'm not in any pain or any discomfort. As a matter of fact, I was feeling great. And so we just want to get it checked out, just rule out any concerns. And so as the doctor began to examine me in that area, the doctor had a puzzled look on her face. And she said, "Gary, I mean, these are her exact words. She says, Gary, I hate to ruin your holiday, but I think this may be breast cancer." I said, "What are you talking about? Maybe breast cancer?" And I said, "This is not something a man can get. This is something for women." And so she quickly corrected my assumption in saying, hey, men have breast ducts just like women do, and they can get cancer in those areas. And so she said, what I can do, she said, because she said it may also just be benign, you know what I mean? But what I want to do, I want to schedule you an appointment with a breast specialist so they can do further testing. And so I said, okay, let's go ahead and schedule the testing, the appointment with the specialist. So since it's around the holiday, I had to wait almost 2 weeks in order to get an appointment with a breast specialist. And so when that time did come about, went to see the breast specialist, he examined me. He also did a biopsy in that area. Of course, when you do a biopsy, you got to wait another 2 weeks for the results. And so we waited. And so I had the doctor to schedule the results that morning, before I went to work, because as I mentioned earlier, my wife works from home, so we can get the information together at the same time. So of course, I'm on pins and needles for the next 2 weeks, waiting for the results of the biopsy to come back. And so, some of the results came back. The doctor called us that morning and said that the results were back, and that he hate to tell me this, but the results was that that I did have breast cancer in my right breast area. And not only did I have breast cancer, it had spread it. It had metastasized. And so when we got that information, both me and my wife were just silent on the phone. I mean, the phone was probably silent for about 2 minutes. And so my wife mustered up the courage and asked the doctor. She asked the doctor, she said, can you tell us what stage it is? And so the doctor told us what stage it was. The phone went silent again. And so I asked the doctor, I said, doctor, has this thing spread to any of my major organs, like my lungs or my kidneys or any of my major organs? And so the doctor said, well, it appears that it has not spread there yet. Okay, I said, okay, then what are we going to do? And so the doctor said, well, I have a board that I'm going to report your case back to. And once I meet with my board, I'm going to come back to you with a plan of action. Okay. And so, of course, we're having to wait for this plan of action. So when the doctor did finally come back to us, he referred us to an oncologist, and with the oncologist, she immediately prescribed me 6 months of chemotherapy. Okay. And so I said, okay, it is what it is. Actually, I wasn't that casual, Dr. Kit, to be honest, because once I got the news, it had shaken both me and my wife to the core. We actually started reaching out to our church, and we have a praying church. And so, the pastor, called, started having prayer with us. Some of the elders at my church had gotten the information, had started calling, wanting to have prayer, with me and my wife, and, reached out to some of my family members that are praying people. And so they called. So we just had a whole lot of people praying for
What
us.
What was that like for you to have all these people praying? Can you talk about that?
It brought such a calm and a peace to the house, because like I said, me and my wife, we were very upset. Me more so because it was me, but we were very upset, to hear that I have breast cancer that had metastasized.
Right.
And so this is something totally new, because I've been married over 35 years, and me and my wife have been healthy. We've never had a major illness either with any of my children. We've never had a major illness in our family. And so by the church praying for us and relatives praying for us, it brought a calm and a peace, to our household.
So there is merit in the spiritual piece in terms of the
Abs-
intervention, and you believe strongly in that.
Very strongly in that. Very
So
strongly.
we're going to get back to your story, but let me just stay on that here for a moment. So what do you tell people that you know of that may be going through this, or what would you even suggest to people like right now, who may be going through this, about the importance of the spiritual intervention?
Oh yes, you can't put enough emphasis on that. Um, um, I myself have always been a person of faith, so it wasn't something that's totally new to me. But those individuals who may not have a spiritual connection, I strongly recommend that. Um, like I said, even with the faith that I had, prior to my diagnosis, um, by having other people intercede or pray for me was just more spiritual strength that I gained, from that.
Okay.
So, mhm.
Listen, when you so you talked about getting the news from the doctor,
Mhm,
and there was some quiet time, some
mhm,
very, very quiet time. Okay.
mhm.
So when you were having your quiet time, what was going on inside? I'm not talking about with you talking with your wife. I'm just
Right.
talking about Gary, talking about Gary, thinking about Gary, having the time with Gary about this thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was more like a shock. That was my quiet time, shock time, because I started thinking the worst case scenario. I have a business, I have 4 employees, I have a family. What's going to happen? You see what I'm saying? What's going to happen if Gary's no longer around? What's going to happen to my business? What's going to happen to my family? Do I have things in order? You see what I'm saying? Because, like I said, this is shocking information. And so I need to start thinking of the inevitable. I really never put any thought to that, to be honest. You know, but now I'm thinking my family. My all. Thank God I have adult children. Um, don't have small children, but you know their well-being, and like I said, in my business. I have 4 employees. Dedicated employees that have been with me for a while. I started thinking about what's going to happen to them. So yeah, that during my shock or quiet time, those that right there was engulfing, my thinking.
Hmm. Was there a time when you said to yourself, "Nah, this is not real," kind of a disbelief? Did you go through any of that?
Uh, I can't say I went through a disbelief. Um, I think my mindset was that this is my new reality,
Okay, all right.
and I just need to just deal with it as best as I possibly can. And like I said, I think that's where those additional prayers came from. God was giving me strength, you know, and comfort and peace. So yes.
Oh man, yes, sir. So you had this Gary time. Okay,
Hmm.
black. Yeah, thank you, Tracy Williams. There, black man. Man, how can we, as black women, insist that they go to the doctor for regular checkups, with appearing the nagging or being their mother? I mean, can you address that? Did you kind of go through that? Did you kind of feel that with your wife when she was say, Gary, let's go? I mean, you know what happened. Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, I think like with 1% of men in this country are diagnosed each year with breast cancer. And so men just have to be proactive, when it comes to their own health. If I would have known maybe if I would have known earlier, then I would have been proactive, especially when men get of age, although it can happen at any, I've met men, at all ages, with this disease, but it's probably a little bit more prevalent as you get older. But when you reach a certain age, there are certain things you should insist. When you get your physicals, um, I would say, start asking for mammograms. Start doing. Men should start doing self breast exams, knowing that you can get cancer in those areas just like women can. So I wouldn't think of it as being nagging. You're just being proactive,
Correct.
about someone else's health.
Yeah, and I thank you for that question, Tracy. But listen, words matter sometimes.
Hmm.
Women have breast, men have
Hmm.
chest. And
Hmm.
we don't talk about chest cancer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Hmm.
wondering if that in and of itself, just the difference in words, may make it say, well, man, us we guys, we got chest, we don't have breasts, so therefore we don't get no breast cancer. Do you think there's some kind of a ignorance in that in the use of the word and what it might really mean? Saying, wait a minute, it's the same place, and
Yeah,
the duct is still there.
I think it's more sort of a shame thing.
Shame.
I
Okay.
think, yeah, because there's a very famous male, which I'm not going to call his name. He's very famous,
Okay. All right.
and he was diagnosed many many years ago with breast cancer. But when he addresses it, he always say, I have chest cancer, and that's not true. I mean, see, men have
Ah,
breast ducts just like women do,
yeah,
and you can get cancer in your breast, you know. So it doesn't define your sexuality. It's just a reality of your of the male body that cancer can develop in those areas just like women, just like it can in women.
yeah. So there's something happening to you on the inside when you hear a man talk about chest cancer. What happens to you? You didn't really go. You talked about him, but what happens to you when you hear that?
Well, like I said, I guess it kind of bothers me. Just come right out with it. Tell what it is. Like I said, I've never heard of chest. Getting cancer in your chest. I've never
Right,
heard of that.
right.
You see what I'm saying? Um, but if it is in fact breast cancer, then like I said, just for a male, just tell it like it is.
Yeah,
I
and I
mean,
guess the reason why the part of the reason I'm asking you that is because male and females, they talk about lung cancer, talk about cancer, they talk about cancer, all different parts of the body, but that
mhm,
part. But listen, let me ask you another question.
mhm,
So you talked about having the Gary time when you got the news, and there was this silence.
mhm.
Okay, there was this silence. How long after you had that news did you and your wife kind of sit down and go eyeball to eyeball, touching, holding hands, praying through this thing, and really saying, "Hey, this is," and you did say, "This is my new normal." And I don't know if
Mhm.
you just got there, but how did you kind of get there with your wife as a supporter? And how did you do that? Because you are the symptom bearer. You got the symptom. She's the sharer. You know what I'm saying? And how'd you get there?
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, you know what? My wife is really a trooper. She's a
Yeah.
trooper. She was physically touched, when the information came about. And um, her famous words to me, I kid you not, Dr. Kid, was that she said this to me, which I'm trying to make sure I'm saying it correctly. She said, Gary,
Oh
don't
man,
worry about the cancer because we are in this together.
I
She said,
love
we
that.
are in this together.
We, we
We, she said,
together. Oh, I
we
love that support.
together. Yeah. Support,
Yeah.
support. And so, you know what? And I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. She said she's going to fight with me. I'm not fighting this alone, that we're going to do this together.
From
And
from a biblical point of view, I just was that's the kind of commitment that God talks about
mhm,
in marriage.
mhm,
And we two shall be one. Therefore, shall a man leave his, mother and father. You know the rest of that, and they shall
mhm,
become one. You know. So I kind of I really like that. And so what did that do to you when you hear it? I mean, you probably heard
Oh
it so many times
wow,
before, you know, but
that was so awesome, Dr. Kid. You know what I mean? I just felt so good with her telling me that.
yeah.
And believe it or not, maybe maybe 6 months later, I threw my wife a surprise birthday party. We may have had like maybe like 75 people at her surprise birthday party.
Oh yes.
And when I got up to speak, I kind of gave people a glimpse as to what was going on in the household, and I told everybody that same thing. I said, my wife said, you know, with your medical situation that you got going on, I'm not doing this by myself. We are in this together, And so, I put her, I put her on blast by, stating that, we are in this thing together. I'm not by myself, and everyone just, gave an applause for that.
Oh man, we are in this thing
Together.
together. All right.
Hmm.
So listen, let me just make a little break here. Listen, for those who are just joining, who may be joining late, I got this amazing guest on with me tonight, and his Gary. Name is Gary, and he's talking about breast cancer in man, the prevalence of breast cancer. And so we're gonna get back into this again and talk some more about this. I'm gonna jump to another story to another story, from him. And we were kind of talking a little bit earlier, and you said that you were at a conference in Philadelphia. Is that right? Yeah, you
Yes.
want to pick it up from there?
I myself have joined several support group,
Yeah.
male breast cancer support groups. And my name has kind of been circulated because one of the groups that I'm part of is actually an national and international group.
Yeah.
And I've had um, a women's group to reach out to me and ask me, could I come to Philadelphia and speak at one of the annual conventions, whatever it's called per year. And so I was in a group. I was asked to speak, and this is a room with about 100 people, in which 99.5% are women. And I was asked to come there and just share my story. And so that's what I did. Shared my story. With a bunch of females, which a large portion of them were breast cancer survivors. So they just wanted to hear a male perspective. What's the journey like with a male going through breast cancer.
Okay. So when you went and you spoke and they wanted to hear that, but
Hmm.
did that did that did you kind of think in terms of, am I an anomaly, like an only one person, or where were you with all of that, and also thinking about other men who may know but may not feel like they need to talk about it in public?
Yeah, I think the overall purpose was, awareness, for other men, for other
Mm,
husbands, or other, spouses or whatever.
yeah.
So that was the general purpose. Pretty much what you're doing. Highlighting that men can get breast cancer as well. So that was the overall purpose of me going there. As a living witness that this is a disease that can affect men just as well as women.
Okay. So you did say that your wife said, um we, and I love that, will
Hmm.
go through this together. Okay.
Hmm.
We together. In other
Hmm.
words, she took ownership of what was going on with you
Hmm.
because of her love and commitment to and for you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, what are you able to share some of the tangible ways that she demonstrated the we-ness, if I can use that word, and the
Absolutely.
togetherness? Can you share some of that?
Absolutely. Um, when we first, okay, well, first of all, she goes with me initially when I was first diagnosed and I was assigned to an oncologist. I had to go through 6 months of chemotherapy, and which in my situation it was it was, I think it was once a
Hmm.
month, um, for my treatment. And so my wife went with me on my first treatment. And Dr. Kit, when I went, yeah, first of all, I had started reading a lot about people going through chemotherapy in terms of, what would be the side effects, to chemotherapy. And so I was nervous because I didn't know how, how this medicine would affect me, physically and mentally. And
Hmm.
so my wife, um, went with me on my first treatment. And so the first treatment, the day of the treatment, I thought, hey, this is a piece of cake. I have no side effects. This is really not bad. So all the horror stories that I've been reading, I said, wow, this is not affecting me. And boy, was I totally wrong. Because I told my wife, I said, hey, at the time, okay, this is nothing. I'm going to go to work the next day, because I
Hmm.
feel fine after this treatment. And so
Hmm.
I decided to go to work the next day. And round about 1 o'clock the next day, it
Yeah.
seemed like something hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
My temperature shot up. I was freezing, and so I decided to leave work early that day. And so when I came home, I went straight to bed. I didn't want no dinner. I went straight to bed. And so my wife, seeing my suffering, she decided to take me to urgent care that same night. So again, she loaded me in the car, took me to urgent care, and they did some things to bring my temperature down and to take away the shivering. It was almost like having severe, like a severe flu.
Hmm.
That's how it felt. And so that they was able to do some things to stabilize me per se. And granted, this is probably around about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife's still there, bringing me home, taking care of me. And I think after a couple of days, I felt fine enough to go back to work. And they had also reached out to my oncologist, and so my oncologist ended up adjusting the strength of my chemotherapy,
Hmm.
just so that my body can tolerate. But the way that my wife played a part, like I said, she was just right there with me. She was just right there with me, and and she was there to comfort me because I sometimes shiver at the fact that, hey, if I was alone going through
Hmm.
this, I think I would be in trouble. I would
Hmm.
be. Mhm.
Hmm. Man, listen, I'm just so amazed, but also happy about the investment in your well-being
Mhm.
that your wife has and continues to demonstrate. We're going to talk about the continuation of that in a little bit, but let's kind of shift it over a little bit now. Now you said that you have two children. Is that what you said? Two adult
Uh,
children.
to adult children. Mhm.
Are they both males? Or are they females? Or
One is a male. One is a
okay,
male. He's the oldest, and a female.
okay, all right.
Mhm.
So since your wife is so heavily invested in your well-being, okay,
Mhm.
how did you all go make a plan of telling the children? Because this is not good news.
Great,
And it's
great
not
question.
it's not a matter of, hey, guess what? I got this. It's not like that. So how
Right.
did you all plan to do that? What was that like for you?
Great question. Actually, my wife did it all. My son at the time, um, he had graduated from college, and he had gotten a job in North Carolina. So he was already living in another state.
Right.
And so my daughter, who still lives here, she just recently graduated from college in June of this year. And so the conversation of that uh, came directly from her. To be honest, I have not had a conversation with my two children about this, although they obviously know. But my wife, she's the one that has had a conversation with both my son and daughter about my situation. Now, what she has said exactly, I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no
So
idea.
so listen. So how was the decision made for her to be the mouthpiece? Hey, listen, let me tell you something about your daddy. Yeah.
I think when we got the information, my mind was just all over the place.
All right.
So she just took the bull by the horn and decided to, share the information with the children, with my adult children. She also shared it with her family members. But I end up, I shared it with my side of the family, primarily with my mother and my aunt, who I'm very close to, what was going on. But, in terms of the household, my wife, she's the one that shared that information.
Thanks, Kiki. Kiki saying, listen, it's beautiful that you have that kind of support. Thank you so much, Kiki. And you're giving them that same kind of support, like right here online. So let me ask you another question. So your wife organized this, orchestrated this, informing the children. Now, did she do it with both children at the same time so that they could express their whatever they're going to express and also become supportive, however they want to become supportive? How did she do that?
No, I think she did it separately.
She did it separately. Okay.
Not sure how long after we got the information that she picked up the phone and called my son.
Okay.
But with my daughter, she probably told her first.
Okay. All right.
What was going on, and then perhaps later that day or later the next day or so, whatever, and contacted my son and told him what was going on with their dad.
Okay. And then the phone call from your children. What was that like for
you? You know what, Dr. Kit? I have, although I'm very close to both of my children, very close,
sir.
Very close to them. I don't think they ever had the courage to just talk to him about the situation. They've always, they in their roundabout way was, Dad, how you feeling? How things going? You see what I'm saying? But they have not had a direct conversation with me about the disease. You know what I mean?
Not to this day.
Not to this day.
Wow.
How you feeling? You know what I mean? Do you have a treatment? Do you have an appointment today? Do you have a treatment today? You see what I'm saying? But not a conversation about what's going on. Now, by me having this this disease, I have told my son that I do want him to, which I've done it myself, some type of genetic testing to see if it's in the genes, And I do tell my son, although my son is 26, I still told him that, when he get his physical, to make sure that he have a discussion with his doctor, about, first of all, let him know that, this is what your dad has, and that if they need to incorporate something, for him, when he's going through his physicals in terms of checking in his, in his breast area, since, it's like since his dad has it.
Okay. So even though you've never had a real conversation, so to speak, with them, hold on. Listen, we got a 6'5". Listen, would you have wanted your children to talk to you about your diagnosis? Thank you for that question. You know what? That's the question I was about to pose. Thank you so much, 6'5", 240. Thank you for asking that question for me. Now,
sure.
I don't have to worry about asking that question. Great question.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe at the time, like I said, I didn't want to have like a doom and gloom outlook, and I still wanted to keep a positive outlook. And so, if they would have asked me questions about it, but I mean, like I said, this is totally new, to me. So I don't know if I would have been able to answer a whole lot of questions, but I'm still trying to be optimistic.
Right.
And I'm still trying to be positive. This is something that I'm going to fight. This is something I'm going to deal with. This is not a death sentence. Although I have this is not a death sentence. So, if they would have wanted to have a conversation with me, yeah, sure, I would have had a conversation with them about it. But if they chose to go the route that they took by going around, roundabout way, then I'm okay. I was okay with that as well.
Okay. 665. Thank you for that great question. Like I said, I was about to head down that road, myself. So the question got asked, but I didn't have to ask it, So that's a good thing. Well, as much as it's a good thing. But so here you are, and this is what, 3 years later, right?
I'm sorry, what you say, doctor?
So this is 3 years later since you
3 years. Okay. Mm-hmm.
3 years later. So, and there's a kind of a sense of normalcy about you growing, living with the cancer diagnosis. And
absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, absolutely. But know what, doctor? It actually has been a challenge.
Okay.
Because if I could just mention this in terms of my journey, I went through 6 months of chemotherapy.
Yeah.
At the end of the 6 months, I started developing neuropathy, and so I had to stop those treatments for fear of getting permanent neuropathy.
Okay.
And so my wife, she herself, she's been doing, that's another thing. She was doing a lot of research, in terms of, other options besides, chemotherapy. She started looking into clinical trials, which that's what I'm currently on now. But by her looking into clinical trials, at first I was approved for a clinical trial through a real big hospital that's here, a research hospital here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through all the testing, and the day before I was supposed to start this particular clinical trial, they told me I didn't qualify because they wanted me to be on a certain drug for about 6 months, and I was only on it for like 5 months. So that kicked that off. And so the doctors had put me on some type of oral medication for about 2 years, and taking the oral medication, my situation was getting worse. It was getting worse. We had started doing a lot of traveling last year, and so I was doing a lot of walking. It had gotten so bad to the point that the disease had progressed so bad to my bone area that I was going through excruciating pain in my rib area, so I wasn't sleeping that well. The doctor, as a matter of fact, it had gotten to a point where I couldn't even walk. The doctor had gave me a cane because they were saying, hey, there's nothing we can really do because the disease has progressed in your bone area. And the only thing you can do is just hold off to see if another clinical trial is going to come up for you. And so they are prescribing these high dosage of medication just to try to ease some of the pain and discomfort that I was going through. And so by the grace of God, during the month of this year, January, February, they were able to find another clinical trial that they thought was a good fit for me. And so I started this clinical trial in February of this year. And all of the pain and discomfort that I was going through has been reversed. Probably walking 2 or 3 miles a day. My appetite has returned. And I'm just living more so right now, probably like 98% normalcy right now. Oh, I think you're muted, doctor.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. I guess I am. Oh man.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So I'm muted, but I'm back on. I don't know how long I was muted for, but I'm just
Mhm.
hoping that
Mhm.
that it didn't disturb or destroy the quality of the communication between us on this show.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm. So,
So so here you are then. You're living a normal life.
for the most part.
There
Mhm.
is normalcy. There
Mhm.
is normalcy um, living with cancer.
Mhm.
With that, did Tracy Williams say yes? And she put up the pray. Thank you,
Pray,
6'5",
pray.
praying for your brother.
Amen. Amen to that.
Can you the push pray? Can you just respond to some of these? People are praying for you. What you want to tell them?
Oh,
What
just thank you so
what do
much.
they-
Thank you so much. I give all glory to God for this because if you'd have seen me early December of last year, January, I mean, it was such a challenge. I'm gonna use the word challenge. It was such a challenge, and like I said, I had excruciating pain in my rib area and my bone area because the disease had metastasized to the bone area. You know what I mean? And so, and like I said, at this point, the doctors, the only thing they can do is just prescribe you with oxycodone and real strong medication to try to ease the pain. And it seemed as though this pain was like on clockwork. I kid you not. I can get up in the morning and have some sort of normalcy, but I kid you not, around about sunset, like it was on a timer.
Yeah,
Sunset, that's when that pain would just
would
start coming. And I tried to make myself, I said, I don't want to get addicted to these drugs, you know what I mean, or become dependent on these drugs because, you taking this strong medication, I'm sure it's going to cause problems someplace else, you know. And so, while I'm still going through this challenge, my wife is like I said, steady trying to research, trying to find other clinical trials that I could possibly get involved in. And like I said, we was able to get a referral to this research hospital that's here in Atlanta. I have a really good doctor at this hospital here in Atlanta, and he really advocated for me to get on the trial that I'm on now, which is through Dana Faber, which is out of Harvard, Harvard Medical Center. And this trial that I'm on has been a really, really good fit for me thus far.
Mhm.
Like I said, all the pain and discomfort that I was going through has been reversed. The only medication I take now are vitamins. I take a vitamin in the morning. I don't take no prescription medication. But although I still go through my treatments, but I take my treatments. The side effects are very, very minimum, very minimum, and but I don't have to take any medication for me to cope with side effects, from the treatment that I'm going through.
Okay. All right. Okay. Christine Lambert. Delay doesn't mean denial. God is already lining up 3 past treatment plans. Ah,
Yes, yes,
that's treatment plan. Phenomenal and knowledgeable medical staff with advanced skills. Yeah, the
absolutely.
best. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can say, I mean, research in terms of cancer is amazing right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, since dealing with this, I've gotten involved with several other initiatives. As a matter of fact, I sat on some Department of Defense, in which they had me as a consumer advocate,
Right.
and I got a chance to see some of the research that they're doing now in terms of cancer. And it's amazing some of the things that they're doing now. I mean, they even have a treatment now for people that's going through neuropathy as a result of being on chemotherapy. So it's just so much that's going on there. And my prayer is that they eventually just have um, um, a cure, a cure for it, you
Hmm.
know. And I think in some cases, they've developed a treatment that could actually reverse, a cancer diagnosis. So this is like it's just amazing on some of the things that they're doing right now. So
All right. Listen, listen. I'm gonna just close it out right now, and I just want to thank you so much. But before we let you go, before we let you
mhm.
go, I'm gonna let you have the last word on this. You had the first word. I want you to have the last word. You know, just words of encouragement or just words of what you would like to tell people, both male and female, or especially the brothers about this. So whatever it is you want to tell them or tell us, about
Absolutely.
your journey, where you are and where you're planning to go in your journey.
Well, okay. I just want to encourage all the men, to just be proactive when it comes to your health. Um, I am, I am an example. Men can get cancer in your breast area just like women can. So, I just want to encourage, if you are a male, especially, 50 or older, make sure that you're working with your doctor and make sure that you yourself are doing self breast exams as well, just like ladies are doing. And I also want to encourage men, if you have a health plan that has like a cancer screening as part of your health plan, take advantage of it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I've had a cancer. I kid you not. I've had a cancer plan for many many years. Never used it. Never
Mm.
used it. And so if you have that available, definitely take advantage of that. You know, um, in my situation, I probably had cancer a while, but just didn't know it. Like, well,
Mhm.
I mean, the mere fact that it metastasized, you see what I'm saying? I was feeling normal. I was eating, didn't have no discomfort, no pain whatsoever. And all of a sudden, I come to the realization that, I have a metastasized, breast cancer.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so just want to, again, encourage men just to be proactive, when it comes to your health, you know.
All right. Roger, have you made any lifestyle change?
Absolutely. If I can address that,
Right
you
ahead.
know,
Go
um,
right ahead, sir.
when I first got the diagnosis, my wife made a 360-degree change when it comes to the way we eat. You know what I mean? We are not vegetarians, but she said, okay, we're gonna start living more so a meatless diet, around the house. So she went in and threw out my snacks and, what I mean, a lot of the junk food that I like to eat, and she just, started, buying, uh, you know, you know, vegetarian books. Reaching out to some of the, members at the church
Mm-hmm.
that were vegetarian and vegans, and getting information from them on how to prepare certain dishes. So that was one of the major lifestyle changes, is, just changing some of our eating habits. Now, of course, we've kind of slipped a little bit now,
You
you
there?
know, but that was one immediate change that we did, to just change how we eat, you know, and stop eating out so much, because we used to eat out a lot.
Yeah. And of course, the exercises that I think you spoke a
Absolutely.
bit about exercise a little while ago. And so that's
Yes.
amazing. And you spoke about your spiritual life, and you spoke
Hmm.
about your family life, and you spoke
Hmm.
about your life. So you basically covered much of, if not all, of the bases. And you're still at this point, um, working with just knowing what you have, and you're working your way through it.
Hmm. Hmm. It's
But
just a day by day thing, you know.
all right.
Hmm.
Again, thank you for sharing your journey. Tracy's Williams is thanking you. Thank you, Tracy, for just staying with us and just help to get us through this segment of this very important issue. Christine, thank you so very much for sharing you overcoming your test to share and inspire us all with your testimony.
Amen.
Thank you for that so much. You're getting a lot of support. Adrian Wiley, great show tonight. She's saying, it's not because of me. It is because you were willing to be so open and to share the kind and the quality of information that you do. Would you consider to write a book and get a word out there? Listen, this is serious stuff.
You know what? I have a lot of time on my hand, since I retired on last year. So yeah, that's something to consider. I do have a lot of, although, I do a lot of work now in my backyard. I've started growing things and, planting vegetables. So yeah, writing a book is something, for me to think about. Absolutely.
Yeah. And thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Listen, and the thing about writing that book, it's not a book on research. It's not a book on who said what, when, where, why, and how. It is Gary woke up this morning and Gary went to bed tonight and at 12 o'clock, Gary did this. You got all the info that you need for your story, because everybody else who has got cancer, okay, their story will be different from yours. Some similarities about the scientific part of it, but your story, your experience of yourself cannot be replicated by you or by anybody else. So I think it'd be a good idea, to even just consider doing that, sharing yourself with other people.
Absolutely, Dr. Kidd. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm with her. I'm with her there, to say, yeah, go right ahead and do it. Just pray, ask the Lord, where do you start? And ask Him, what's the purpose of this book? And He'll tell you, and He'll guide you through this. He will guide you, and I'm confident that the same support that your wife has given you and your children have given you throughout this phase of your life, they will be with you through the sharing of your life in a literary way, and through a book. I'm sure they will be right there with you. All right.
Absolutely.
So maybe something to pray about and say, Lord, when do you want me to do this? How do you want me to do this? Thank you for sharing.
Very well said, Doctor. Very well said.
All right. Listen, sir, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a wonderful, wonderful story. Okay, and thank you so much, our listeners. Thank you so much. Listen, this evening you're still on with the Shake Up with Dr. Kidd, and we just came off of a wonderful story. Man, sharing his experience. So great. Thank you so much. And we'd like you to, like, follow, share, and subscribe. Just continue to do that. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. This is how we get the word out there. And this is how we get people to come on and want to be a part of this show. But when you like to follow, share, subscribe, other people know. So if you would like to be considered to be a guest on this show, continue to like, follow, share, subscribe. Because by doing that, you are engaging other people. But if you'd like directly to be a part of this show, a guest on this show, just contact my team at drkiddspeaks@gmail.com. They will make sure that they set it up so that you can come on a Monday night at 6 p.m., a Monday night of your choosing, a Monday night when you are available. Now, again, you can come on by. You can do it on camera, or you can do it off camera, although we like to see this wonderful person that we're talking to soon as everybody else, So if you can do that, that would be a wonderful thing. Okay, so regardless of which way you go down there, all right, just do that. Like, follow, share, and subscribe, and just call Dr. Kidd Speaks at gmail.com to be considered to be on this show. Thank you so much, And may God bless you and keep you until we meet again on next Monday night at 6 p.m., where we do more of the shakeup, where we don't change things, we just change our perspective on things, starting with yourself. Have a good night. Bye-bye.